Okay, hey, this is Vile the Bastage of Clan Bastage here with my brand new nGauge. As you've seen on the form, I've already got this thing installed with the wire running down from the bottom here from the OBD2 port, up around the plastics against the door here, up over around the steering wheel behind the gauges here. The odometer, speedometer. It's going back around there. You can't see it, obviously. I hit it really well, and it comes out and terminates right behind this gauge here. Put a bit of padding, some foam padding behind right here because anytime I went over like a speed bump or if I hit something in the road, pothole or whatnot, this thing would start to rattle. This bezel here would start to rattle, and I'd have to push on it for it to stop. Kind of annoyed me, but you know, after all, this is a Mustang. It's not a freaking Beamer or anything like that, so a bit of rattling can be expected, but it's easy to fix. Just get some foam padding from Home Depot or Lowe's or whatever. You could just put it back there behind there. Now it's a lot more snug. I can't even push on it now. It doesn't even flex, so it's a lot better. But anyway, this video is just to kind of go over what this thing does. This is me kind of turning this thing on while it's mounted inside the car for the first time. Okay, so I'm thinking it's powered on. Let's see if I touch it, what happens. Okay, there we go. So it's powering on now. Let's get connecting to the vehicle. Sorry. One thing it does is kind of funny. This is it in gauge mode, and I guess unless the car is turned on, you're gonna get like four quadrants, little Cartesian plane here. It's not gonna show anything. You just kind of press on it and hit exit gauges, and it'll bring you to this screen here. So obviously gauges is what it opens up into. I'm not sure if you can change like what screen it's going to open up to. You got your tuning, obviously your diagnostics for the most part for the tuning, and diagnostics. This works almost exactly like an SCT X4 and X3 or your Cobb access port or anything like that. For those of you who are obviously going to ask me about like, okay, you hard mounted this thing from the front and from the back. Don't turn off. You hard mounted this thing from the front and the back. You know, how are you going to get to the SD card that kind of is mounted over here on the side without pulling this thing out? As you can see here, you know by now, the nGauge has a USB port in the front. To access the contents of the USB port to the SD card, all you got to do is go into diagnostics, go to USB SD. It says SD card active. If you have a USB cable here plugged into a laptop or an Android device or a Surface or something along those lines, something that has a file system that you can access, you should be able to see the contents on here, and you can flash in the firmware for this thing, and updating tunes and grabbing your stock tune is really easy. The file system is like your basic, you know, Windows you know, your basic Windows, you know, file system or whatever. And all the folders are clearly marked. I think the custom tune one actually says custom files. Your stock tune will say stock tune file. There's a file in there for like the skins, which Lund Racing provides their own skin. That's where you get this like little, when you get to the screen here, you get this like little red against the black with their logo, whatever. When this thing comes stock, it actually has like a different buttons and whatnot, different screen or whatever, but they all do the same things pretty much. I just got this firmware from Lund today. But you got your data logging. Cool thing about this, once you start data logging, the moment you stop data logging, it automatically saves it. You can hold a bunch of data logging files. You go in your settings here. You can get your device info. Tells you your device's full serial number. Only 6 digits of the serial number is put on the back. Voltage, the current BIOS and firmware you're on. Board revision. Pay attention to this firmware number. Mine shipped with firmware 112. I guess the current version is 115, and like I said, the current version is on Lund's website, so check it out. If you go to the eMotion website, because mine came with instructions to say go to eMotion, the eMotion website, the most current firmware they have on there is, don't turn off, the most current firmware they have on there is firmware 096. Mine shipped with 112. Lund recommends you put on 115. Like I said, once again, easy as pie to freaking update. All you got to do is drop the file into the onto your SD card. I renamed my 112 firmware as like vanilla 112, and then renamed like the regular firmware. I'm not even sure you even have to rename it, because like the nGauge will actually, it gives you an option to, let's see if I can find it here. update from the SD card, and it'll search all the files. So I guess it'll probably just read that firmware that you dropped in there. You won't even have to rename it. It'll detect that it's a later version from the current version that you have on there, and it'll update from that. So yeah, keep that in mind. There's a lot on here that I have yet to play with yet. I have yet to flash my Lund tune on because I put to drive the car around this past weekend. I had to put my stock intake back on there, and I was throwing a code because I have catless headers or whatever, but I had to drive it around. I had to pick up kids and all that good stuff. So now that I've got my tune and everything else, I'm probably just going to hop out the car here in a minute, put my JLT back on, flash it, and probably pass out because it's like freaking damn near 4 o'clock in the morning. So yeah, this is pretty much it in a nutshell. Don't turn off. This is what you can expect to be looking at, I guess, when you're driving down the road. I'm thinking that might just power off if you're not using the gauge mode, or if you're not, data logging or anything like that, which is actually kind of cool to not have to see, like, your freaking screen here and then have that up there doing its thing or whatever. But I am pretty impressed with it. I like how fast it works. I grabbed the stock file off this thing, and it actually grabbed the stock file extremely fast. I was actually rather impressed. It was actually faster than the Cobb Access Port version 3 I ended on when I had my 2013 STI. So pretty impressed with that. I'm looking forward to see how fast it flashes once I put my Lund tune on it. And but yeah, came out really clean. And for all you guys that went and got one of these things from Lethal, or if you're getting it from Team Beefcake, enjoy, man. I can't wait to see what this thing is really capable of. So anyway, this is Val the Bastage of Clan Bastage, and I guess good morning. God, it's freaking late. Peace.